What is going on? Welcome to episode 50 of the Nintendo Powercast. I'm your host, N64 Josh, and we got a very special guest this week, Lloyd from Res TV. What's going on, man?
Not much, man. Thanks for having me on the show. I'm super excited to be here and chat some Nintendo awesomeness with you here on your show.
And I should have said from Nintendo Pulse Podcast, because that's the best place to find you.
That is one of the shows that we do over on the Res.tv network, REZD.tv. As you can tell by the Z, I am Canadian. And yeah, we do a bunch of shows over there. And Nintendo Pulse is one of the ones that we've been doing for years and years and years and years.
Yeah, how many years?
12 years. 2005 is when we started the show as the DS Life podcast because the DS Lite had just come out. We thought it was a fun name. And then we did a Wii podcast called Wii Spot. And then after a couple of years of doing them side by side, it's like, no, slap them together. We did Nintendo Pulse, and that became the show that we've been running ever since.
Awesome, dude. Freaking 12 years, bro.
It's nuts.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Well, hey, before we jump into all this stuff, first of all, if you want to get yourself a free book, go to audibletrial.com/NPC. And books I've been recommending, I'm going to recommend a book that you guys recommend, a book called The Subtle Art of Not Giving a, and it's the F word, so I won't say it because we're going to keep it family friendly. And although the title makes it sound like you're going to turn into a psychopath, that's not the case. So it actually really helped me with my mental state, and I recommend checking it out. So if you can handle the language, check it out. If not, go check out Super Mario, How Nintendo Conquered America, because that's awesome as well. So that's audibletrial.com/NPC. The chair I'm sitting in from OPSeat, opseat.com. Use coupon code N64Josh and save yourself $10 there. That's opseat.com. Maverick says I can vouch for his mental state. Yes, he can. And guys, I hope everybody had a killer Thanksgiving. I had Jeff on, the author of Super Mario, and he tried Discord for the first time through his phone and did not have good cell service or a good Wi-Fi, which meant I did not really get much usable audio. So if you are dying to hear anything from him, you can check out my past Twitch broadcasts, but there wasn't really much to be able to put out as a show. So this is the official episode 50, and this is what we're doing. So I do want to let you guys know what's been going on with me. So if any of you guys follow me on Twitter, you've probably already seen that my wife has been in the hospital since Thanksgiving. She had pulmonary embolism. I believe that's how you say it. I'm not reading the words right now, so my brain is a little fried. But basically, she had blood clots in her heart. And we are extremely fortunate that we caught it. Some of you might be asking, why are you doing a podcast if your wife is in the hospital? Well, the first thing she said to me this morning when I delivered her coffee was, you better not skip your podcast. And I said, whoa.
Whoa.
Like, what? Let's talk about this. So we skipped one of the shows tonight so we could be together playing some snipper clips. We had a date night last night, and we actually streamed a little bit together, which was cool. Kind of just did a little Q&A time. But she is on the mend. She's not home yet. Hopefully soon. So I've been double duty, doing all the mom stuff and all the dad stuff. So it's been a weekend, almost a week, and wow. Yeah. But here we are. We're gonna talk Nintendo. I'm really excited. I'm really excited. My wife is doing good. That's huge for me. So everybody that's here live on twitch.tv/N64Josh, thank you for being here. Jesse Loves, Walt, Kirby Geek, Captain Logan, Maverick, LSD. Thank you guys for hanging out. Anybody that's just lurking, thank you for being here. So, Lloyd,
Yes.
Let's talk about you, man. I know you were on the History of Mario episode where we had the Voltron, the podcast Voltron, and but we didn't really get to. We got to hear the Nintendo Pulse elevator pitch, but I want to hear about you, and then we'll talk about Nintendo Pulse also. What is your history with Nintendo? What are some of the first games?
My first Nintendo system is right here, right behind me. This was the first Nintendo system that I owned. I'm holding it here because it fell over and the screen popped off, which made me very, very sad. No. I'm gonna glue it. It's gonna be perfect. It's gonna be perfect.
Okay.
But my first Nintendo system was like the OG Game Boy. The reason why this was my first system is I desperately wanted an NES, and I asked for it, and I asked for it, and I asked for it. And at the time, my dad worked at Sears. Up here in Canada, they sold video games way back in the day when Sears actually existed up here in Canada. And he went to the electronics department. He's like, my son wants a Nintendo. And the guy's like, no, he doesn't want a Nintendo. He wants a Sega Master System. So I got a Sega Master System, which was a awesome system. I couldn't complain, but my heart was with Nintendo. So I didn't get a Nintendo, but I got a subscription to Nintendo Power, and eventually the next Christmas I got a Game Boy, and that's kind of how I lived. I played, like, Nintendo was my buddy's house. All my buddies had a Nintendo, and I was like the lonely guy with a Sega Master System. Actually, no, the most lonely guy was the guy across the street that had a TurboGrafx 16 because no one wanted to play that.
Right.
Yeah, that was me starting up with Nintendo. I was a huge Nintendo Power fan. I subscribed. I had like the first 5-6 years of Nintendo Power, which moved with me a bunch of times, and then I finally got tired of carting it around, and I recycled it all. And I'm so sad. Like I think of that like every month or something. I'll be like, oh, I had that. I don't have that issue. Yeah. So I'm super, super sad about that. But I've been a long time Nintendo fan from way back in the day, mainly because of the Nintendo Power magazine and reading about all my favorite characters on a system I didn't know.
What was that Christmas like? Were you like, thanks? Thanks.
Yeah, it was okay. I was happy to get something. I wasn't going to be super, super disappointed, but it was tough going to school once Christmas break was back in, and everyone's like, "Oh, what'd you get?" I got a game system. They're like, "Oh, you got a Nintendo? What games you get?" I got Alex Kidd, and I got Action Fighter, and they're like, "That doesn't sound like a Nintendo game." And yeah, that's what it was. It was Sega Master System, man. It was what it was.
So did you have the controllers with the little joystick that's screwed into the center of them?
Yeah, I had those controllers, so you could unscrew the little circle, like the little button. But my kit didn't come with the little joysticks.
Oh, okay.
So that's one thing that I always wanted to do was order from Sega. You could order the little joysticks that would just screw into the top, but I never ended up getting those. I absolutely love the system. But it wasn't a Nintendo, which is why I got so much play on my Game Boy. Yeah.
So tell me, that Game Boy, does it still work?
It does actually. If I put batteries in it, it still works. And I was playing, what was I playing most recently? Gargoyle's Quest?
Gargoyle's Quest, I believe.
I was playing that just recently on it, and it works fine. Dude, it's so hard to go back to the screen. So I played on my Game Boy SP, backlit and everything, and it's fine, which is great. But there's just a special place in my heart for my original Game Boy, and I was just so sad because it was kind of like propped up on my shelf, and then I moved some stuff and it stood up, and I could see it wobbling, and then it fell forward, and I'm like, oh crap, it fell forward. That's okay. And as soon as I picked it up, the screen was just left on the ground, and I'm like, no, what happened? But it still works, even though the screen is in multiple pieces.
Do you got any vertical lines on it?
No, it works perfectly. It is as close to mint as you can get without the plastic piece covering up the LCD screen.
Awesome. Well, hey, what are a few games on that you just, that you loved as a kid?
Well, I loved, of course, Super Mario Land. I mean, that, as bad as that game was and as awesome as that game was, I played it so many times. I got most of my real good games here. some of my favorites are right here because I kept all my boxes because I was a weird kid. I loved me some Revenge of the Gator, which was a really cool pinball game. This is one of the games that I probably played the most on the Game Boy. Played this game so much. I was a big Final Fantasy fan, so all the Final Fantasy Legends were great. And then, of course, this one, Metroid 2 Return to Samus, which is not as good now because we got the really great 3DS game, which is better in every way. But I played so much Metroid on the Game Boy as well. I at one point I think I had like 30 games or whatever. Not all the boxes because I would buy games off friends and things like that. And then my nephews started getting older and my sister's like, oh, can you just sell me some of the games? Because I can't afford to go to the store and buy them. They're way too expensive. So could I buy some off you for like $10 a pop? And I sold a bunch of my old games that I didn't really care about. It's one of those things where I'm a collector, and I got to a point where it's like, I don't want to do this collecting thing anymore. And I just started getting rid of things. And then I regretted it ever since. And then the same thing with my Nintendo Powers, recycling them, which is just every time I think of that, like a tear forms in the corner of my eye and slowly trickles down my cheek as I think about getting rid of all those magazines. So
you have the boxes from, how old were you when you got those games?
Well, I was born in the late 70s. So I got these when did the Game Boy come out? Like 1989. 89. So yeah, I was 12, 13, whatever it was when those came out. What is it? 91 is that one. This one's from 91. This one does not say 89. So yeah, I have all my original, all the games that I loved. I have all the original boxes from back when I was a kid. They were on my shelf. I've told this story on Nintendo Pulse a few times, but the reason why I kept all my boxes, and I had Atari 2600, I had all the boxes for Atari 2600. I had a ColecoVision. I had all the boxes for ColecoVision. Sega Master System, all the boxes. And in my basement, I would put them up on shelves like a game store because my dream as a kid was to own a video game shop. So I would set up my own little mini video game shop in the basement. But then we had a flood and all that stuff was destroyed except for my Nintendo stuff because my Nintendo stuff was up in my bedroom. So that's the only reason why I still have all my Nintendo boxes and my original cartridges, because all my Nintendo stuff was in my bedroom. My basement got 2 feet of water and every other video game system and box and cartridge and you name it, all got destroyed because of that. So
I'm pretty sure that's how my original NES went. I think we lost it. There's a chance it's sitting in a shed at my mom's house, which probably is also flooded. But I'm pretty sure we lost it in a basement flood. I'd be surprised if we didn't. If she still has it, it's going to have like grass growing in it. Like, so, yeah, but that's crazy, dude. I would open my games probably like, just like rip them down the middle. Like, like rip the cardboard, like, let me at it, so, not anymore though.
I was crazy about that stuff way back in the day. I don't really know why, because I'm not a really neat person. Like everything else in my life is a mess, but then my video game stuff is all pristine, and you put the gloves on when you open up the boxes and things like that. It's crazy. But yeah, I one thing that I really wish from when I was a kid, other than I wouldn't have had all that stuff in the basement, so it was lost. But I wish cell phones were around, because the saddest picture that I could have ever taken was of the basement with 2 feet of water and all of my Atari 2600 and all the other boxes were just floating on top of the water. And it was like all the boxes were just kind of sitting there and I'm staring at them and I'm just like, oh man, this really sucks. I wish I would have had a picture of that because that would have just been something to look back at.
No, you don't want to look back on that sadness.
Well, the Nintendo Powers give me a tear in my left eye and that would have given me a tear in my right eye and you would have just balanced it out. It would have
had both tears. Yeah, there you go. Keep the sadness equal. Well, moving on from the Game Boy, then what was where'd it go from there? Did you ever end up with an NES or?
Yeah, I've had a couple NESs over my life. I bought one near the end of its life, and I've gotten a couple since then in some trades and things like that. We were big renters on my street, so Saturday was go down to Video Stop, which was the rental store that was like a block and a half away, 2 blocks away. And we would go down the list and we would rent every NES game that we haven't already played. So it doesn't matter how good it was or how bad it was. If we hadn't played it, we would rent it. So I probably played half of the NES library just because of that, renting games. But all my friends on the street, they all had NESs and things like that. So yeah, I've played all the classics on the actual hardware as I was a kid. But some of our favorites were Contra, Chip and Dale, DuckTales, Punch Out, RC Pro-Am. Games like that we'd while away the hours on the weekend playing in my buddy's basement, or my other buddy's basement, or my other buddy's basement, and no one came over to play Sega Master System for some reason. I don't know what it was. It just wasn't a game that everybody liked.
Just wasn't pulling them in, huh? Oh yeah, man. As you said, Chip and Dales and stuff, like I picked up the Saturday morning or the Saturday afternoon collection, or I can't remember what they called, the Disney afternoon collection, I think. Yep. On the Xbox for $8. I'm like, oh, this is a sweet deal. Like, it had more games than I thought. Why is that not on the Switch?
Like, it's such a no-brainer. Yeah. Like, you're going to put it on and you're going to sell, and you'll sell it for $40 because the Switch tax on top of it. Right. And people will buy it up like crazy. Yeah. To buy all those cartridges now, like DuckTales is pretty expensive. Chip and Dale is not so expensive, but all like DuckTales 2 and Chip and Dale's 2 and all those games, like, they're really, really expensive. The sequels, because they didn't produce very many. Yeah. Some people, this is just the easiest way to play these games, and then get access to some of the games that maybe you didn't get a chance to play when you were a kid, or if you were not born when they were around. Obviously, this is the first time you're going to get a chance to play them.
Yeah, which they're so good. DuckTales was like one of the first games I could play through and through and through and through it. Just keep going through it. I loved it. So, yep. So what would you say is your favorite Nintendo console?
For me, my favorite NES or my favorite Nintendo console is not the NES. Surprising, even though I lusted after the NES for forever. It's the Super Nintendo. I loved the hell out of Super Nintendo. One of my close friends that lived on my street, there was another rental place in the city, and they had imports, and we rented the Super Famicom before the Super Nintendo was out, and we played Super Mario World on the Japanese Super Famicom before you could actually get the Super NES up here. Love that game so much. I picked up the Super NES and played Mario World for, it seems like, months and months and months without really wanting to play anything else. It was such an amazing title, playing Super Mario World. So all my best memories playing like console games before CDs, it has to be the Super Nintendo, playing all the RPGs, playing all the sports games, as good or bad as they are, playing Mortal Kombat with the gray sweat instead of the blood. Street Fighter. I'm up in Canada. We couldn't find Street Fighter for forever. I ended up going down to the States on a trip, and ended up buying Street Fighter 2, the Championship Edition. It was like $100 US for just the cartridge. I bought the Capcom Fighter Power Stick, which was like this huge joystick with like arcade buttons on it. I probably spent like $5 million Canadian at the time to buy this stuff and bring it back over here.
Your dad took out a second mortgage, or
yeah. I sold one of my kidneys out there. It was okay.
Good call. Good call. They were worth more back then, so
they were. But yeah, like I spent so much time playing the Super Nintendo, so that definitely has to be my favorite Nintendo console of all time.
Are there any like obscure titles on that system that you're like, oh, no one ever talks about this, but I loved it? I know this question's like out of left field, so it's okay if you're like, no.
Totally. There was a game, but now everybody says it's one of the best games on the system, and it was ActRaiser. Okay. I played that game. I bought that game. I played it like 1,000 times, and no one knew what ActRaiser was. Like, no one that I talked to had ever played it, and they would come over and they're like, holy crap, this game is amazing, and they would go try to find a copy, but there was no eBay, there was no internet, the only way that you could possibly get it was mail order on the back of a magazine if they didn't have any locally. But yeah, for years and years and years, I would talk about ActRaiser, and everyone's like, what's that? And but now everybody has played it and they love it. So I guess that's the most obscure game that I played a lot of. I'm trying to think of anything else.
Does that cover kind of have like a guy with the sword kind of standing at an angle? a little bit. Like it's pointing, the sword's pointing
really
up.
Weird. Yeah, it was a really really weird box. But
I would always see it at Toys R Us because it was like the first game you'd always see, right? Because ActRaiser was like alphabetically was like, well, there's ActRaiser. I have no clue what this game is. Like, how did I never see anything in Nintendo Power about it? Or no, like you said, none of my friends ever talked about it. So I'm like, well, I ain't gonna take a risk on this. I've got $60 for my 1 or 2 games a year, you know, or whatever, $75 at the time. I think, well, like Mario RPG, I was looking recently was like a $90 Super Nintendo game or something crazy.
It's crazy. So, yeah, no, ActRaiser, the box art was lightning. So it was just like the logo, and it was lightning. And then on the back of the box, there was some of the other pictures, like just the typical, the dude with the big sword. It was just such an amazing game way back in the day. I'm so glad that I played it back then, and I'm glad that people are playing it now. One of those games where it didn't get a lot of love for many, many years, and all of a sudden now everybody talks about it as one of the better games on the system.
Okay, and then ActRaiser 2 had like the dude with wings standing. Yeah. Okay, yeah. I totally remember the cover now. I was thinking of something else, but I totally remember that cover.
Totally. Yeah, ActRaiser was great. What are some other games that I played a lot? SimCity. I played that like way more than I'm comfortable admitting in public. On Super Nintendo. I played that so much. It was ridiculous. Adventure Islands. I played a lot of Adventure Island. Okay. 1, 2, and 3. What else? Just so many games, man. The Super Nintendo was such a special system. Like even like really terrible games, like Ren and Stimpy and Beavis and Butthead and all those other games. Like they were terrible, but I played the hell out of them. The Simpsons games, they were not good, but it was on the Super Nintendo, so it was okay. And thankfully, I didn't have to buy these terrible games. I could just rent them for a couple bucks and never touch them again.
Yeah, like Batman Returns was one of those stellar titles on the Super Nintendo. I loved that one. Did you ever play a game called Utopia? I've asked a few other guests and nobody has played it yet. So
Utopia does not sound familiar.
It's kind of an RTS, except like it was like an RTS tower defense in a way. Like you'd have to get resources, build your base, build your defenses, and wait for an army or whatever to attack you. And I found out not too long ago you could actually play it with the mouse. So now I'm nice. Like, oh, I've got to pick this game up, because it was a game that my neighbor had that he would always bring over and we would play. It was one of those games that, like, if I came over and he was playing it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be so bored. But if he would let me borrow it, I was like, don't come over until I beat this, or until I get past this level. Cause like, it's no Rampart on the NES. That's funny.
I just Googled it and I don't recognize that game at all. So I don't think that was one that we ever played.
That and Romance of the Three Kingdoms was the other one that I would, my uncle had that one and I would play it. And there's literally like nothing happening on screen, like action wise, you know? So I'm like, I shouldn't like this, but for some reason I do, you know, it's kind of how it went. So, but okay, well, let's talk about Nintendo Pulse, man. What you kind of gave us the little bit of a rundown there, but you guys have been doing this like 12 years, dude. Have hosts change over the years and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, my first co-host was I started up with a guy named Edgar First. He did another podcast at the time. I did another podcast at the time. He found me because my show, using Libsyn way back in the day, my show was like in the top 20 of all the shows that were on Libsyn. So he was like emailing everybody and it's like, hey, I listened to your show and it's really awesome. We should do some stuff. He had never actually listened to my show. He was just emailing me because we were on top of the list. He wanted to get some play. He wanted to rise up the ranks. And we started chatting a little bit and he's like, oh, you're into games. I'm into games. This is cool. We should talk about games. And then, we started up a Nintendo show called DS Life. It was all about the Nintendo DS, DS Lite, because that was the system at the time. It's really rough going back and listening to like the first few episodes of that show. It was definitely a different time podcast wise, like technology and stuff like that just wasn't there. But it was fun, man. I've been talking Nintendo for longer than my kids have been alive. So it's just a hobby that I've had for many, many, many years.
That's cool, dude. And so how often, like, do you guys do a show like this where it's live on Twitch and then you put it out on YouTube and whatever, Libsyn, whatever you use now? I don't know, but.
Yeah, we do all of our hosting ourselves. So the show's available on pretty much every podcast platform. You can check it out over at RezTV, REZD.tv. But yeah, we do a show pretty much once a week. Sometimes we miss a week here and there just because this is fun for both myself and my co-host Stephen Munn. We both have kids and family and stuff like that. So it's not always convenient to get a show in every week, but we try our darndest to do that. But yeah, we host a show. It's about an hour long. We stream it on Twitch. It's available on our site. It's also available on YouTube if you want to watch the video version. But yeah, I basically at one point I ran a number of websites all about different podcasts. So we had like the Wii Spot page, we had the DS Life podcast page, we had a PSP podcast page, and it was all this stuff. And then we combined them into a network called VG Podcasts and ran that for many, many years as VG Podcasts. But then we wanted to diversify a little bit because myself and my co-hosts and other people got together and were like, well, we want to do other shows that aren't video game related. So that's where Rez TV came from, was just a way to create kind of like a network page that pretty much any kind of show could live there. So on Rez TV right now, I think there's a dozen active shows that are on there right now, and I host a number of them, but not all of them. So it's good to see every time I open up the page and there's a bunch of new shows that have been posted that I did not host. It's pretty cool to see that stuff happen.
Yeah, that's very cool. So, and the kind of the way you guys do Nintendo Pulse, it's kind of just talk about the current news, that kind of stuff. Is that more the focus?
Yeah. So myself and my co-host will talk about kind of what we've been playing. We do kind of what our pickups have been. Every once in a while we go on retro kicks. So we'll buy like a stack of cartridges or whatever. We talk about that stuff. We talk about all the games current games that we're playing. And then we get into kind of like the top 5-6 news items. We're not like we don't hit every single story that comes out in a week just because there's other podcasts for that. But we talk about the big ones, the ones that are interesting to us. And we kind of just talk about things from a longtime Nintendo fan standpoint. Someone that's been covering like the gaming industry for over a decade. You can kind of make predictions and stuff like that. So it's really cool to look at some Nintendo news and say, okay, well, this is cool. On the top, it's like the candy coating on top of it is really cool. But what this really means is this or this or this. So we'll sometimes do deep dives on things like that as well. So yeah, it's kind of like our standard format we've been doing for years and years. So it might seem kind of tired now because it seems like every podcast kind of does that now. But we've been doing it for so long. It's kind of tough to mix up the recipe these days.
I got you. That's the word format that I could not remember while I was trying to ask that question. I'm like, why do I want to keep saying layout? I'm just going to blame it on my current state. When my wife went to the hospital, I was out for 38 hours straight.
Oh, dude.
So I'm still recovering. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry, listeners.
The fact that word sense make out mouth yours, it amazes me after all the stuff that's going on in your life, dude. That's just insane.
It's been crazy. But hey, you kind of segued us perfectly into what have you been playing?
A lot of stuff, man. The Switch is so amazing. I'm a big Game Boy. I'm a big portable gamer. My favorite Nintendo games mostly have been portable over like all the generations because I was from Game Boy to Game Boy Advance to DS and stuff like that. It seems like I play the most games portably. That's where the Switch is awesome because I can play the games portably. So I've been playing a lot of Skyrim. I think I've put about 60 hours into that. I did about 30 hours into it for my review that came out the Thursday before the game came out. So I was just heads down playing this game like mad. I've already put about 400 hours into Skyrim since like the PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4 versions. So I played the game a lot, and I absolutely love it. So I've been putting many, many hours into the Switch version. Also been playing Marvel Superheroes 2, thanks to WB Games. They sent me a review copy, which is just amazing. I do another show called Inside Lego, all about Lego games, so kind of works that way.
Nice.
The good thing is I've been getting all the Lego games on Switch now, so I can kind of cover both shows. It's been fantastic. If you've played any of the other Lego Marvel games, this one is kind of the same, except the story is fantastic. Not that the other ones weren't, but the story is really, really good. And there's something like 300 characters in the game, and they're all individually voiced. Like it's ridiculous.
Really?
Yeah, like weird one-off characters from like crossovers, like the Spider-Verse characters. All of them pretty much are in the game. Like Spider-Ham is in here. Throg, which was like Thor, the frog version of Thor, during like this crazy crossover stuff that they did. There's even a character that they made, that TT Games made, called Carnum, which is basically a mixture of Carnage and Venom, and they actually made a character with Marvel, and the first place you can play it is in this video game. Pretty amazing. I'm a big fan of Lego games, so I love all of them. So, but this one, I'm a huge Marvel zombie from way back in the day. So playing through this and just seeing like weird one-off characters which should not be in a video game, yet they are, and they're awesome, has been fantastic.
So one of the games I was impressed with on the Switch was Lego Ninjago movie game, right? And what impressed me is that it felt like it progressed the whole Lego shtick from this like kids game to really like an arcade brawler. And I was impressed by that. Does the Marvel game have that same kind of feel to it, or does it go back to the
You'll be happy to know that none of that made its way into this video game, which is kind of depressing. So this is more like old school Marvel. Run to a character and slam on your Y button repeatedly until they explode into a bunch of Lego pieces. It's kind of sad. The way TT Games works normally is they kind of have like two main development teams. TT Fusion kind of does more of the building the engine out. So I guess when they built that engine out for Ninjago, not a lot of that new stuff that they added made its way into this game. I'm hopeful that whatever comes out next from TT Games will have some of that stuff in it. Okay. So there's no multi-builds. There's no new battle system, really. It's kind of more like the old school ones. The really cool thing about this one is the overworld is this one huge map. So the story is basically an enemy is basically grabbing really cool things from all over time, not just the world. So you have like the Avengers mansion. You have parts of what is it? New York Noir. So some of those characters. You have Asgard. You have Nowhere. You have like all the big kind of areas from all the different movies and a lot of the different crazy comic stories have all been pulled together, and they're all in one huge world now. So you can basically, as Spider-Man, you can swing across Asgard, and the next thing you know, you're in I don't know, you're in like New York, and you're swinging through New York, and then you go to another place and you're in like Egypt, because there's pyramids and everything there. So it's really cool. But I'm a huge Marvel fanboy. So this really gets my juices flowing when I'm playing, and I unlock a character that was in one comic that I happened to read at the time when it came out. And it's just like, holy crap, that dude's there. That's amazing. And they're all like individually voiced and everything. It's ridiculous. But it's fantastic.
Cool. And were you holding another game there too?
Yeah. Skylanders Imaginators. I picked it up on the Switch because it was Black Friday and I could get it for half price because I wasn't going to spend $80 Canadian for this game. And I've been playing it, and I was a huge Skylanders fan. My kids were growing up. They were really young, right about the time when the first Skylanders came out, and they loved it. They loved putting the characters on the portal and all that stuff. So I've been a fan, mainly because I've been picking up for my kids and then buying some of the some of the characters to keep playing myself as well. But Skylanders Imaginators on the Switch did something completely different. There is no portal. So you grab your Skylanders character and you basically tap it like an amiibo, and it gets loaded into the game into one big menu. So if you want to choose a character that you own. You don't actually have to go find that toy and tap it on your screen or tap it on your controller. You basically just choose it from a menu now, which for a portable system makes total sense. So I picked it up because it was cheap, and things like this, I'm a big collector. So I see that, I'm just like, oh, if I only bought these 8 things, I could do all this other stuff. And I'm looking at the money they're going to be spending on this game that I picked up because it was cheap. And I'm really angry at myself a little bit for picking it up.
We're going to take a quick, just little rabbit trail. Is that Soundwave behind you on your shelf?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I just wanted, that's the original like metal arms and everything.
No, this is one that my wife bought me for Christmas one year.
Okay.
And it is a Japanese re-release of the original Generation 1 from Japan. So it's this weird thing that she had to import in. But yeah, it even has like all the little cassette tapes and stuff that. Yeah.
That's awesome, dude. I have the original like metal one still. So I was like, I have that same thing on my, I think mine's buried in a box right now, but sorry for the rabbit trail, but I see a Transformer, an old one, especially. I'm like, we gotta talk about this.
I have a bunch of Transformers from when I was a kid. And we were talking about Transformers one day, and I told her, oh, the one that I always wanted was Soundwave, and I wanted all the cassettes, and I never got it, and it was sad. And I saw it in stores at one point, and it was just like, oh, they're re-releasing it. That's really cool. And she filed that away in her file folder in her brain. And she was looking for a gift one year for me, and she went looking for it. And that re-release that they made in like, I think, late 90s, early 2000s didn't exist anymore. It just couldn't buy it anymore because they sold out. So she still wanted to get it. So she went to some crazy Japanese import shop online and ordered it. And it was just like Japanese re-release. And it was just like, it was crazy. She jumped through all sorts of hoops just to make my Christmas, which was pretty awesome.
That's incredible, dude. That's incredible. Well, as far as games I've been playing, I haven't been playing a ton, but I did a little more Mario Odyssey. You know, getting more stars. I think I'm just under 400 stars now. So, still got a ways to go for sure. Mm-hmm. I've been playing Skyrim on the go, which has been cool. I probably have a total of 3 to 4 hours into it, maybe max. Because it's nice that it actually can be kind of bite-sized because you just sleep the switch and go for it, and just put it down. But then tonight we went to visit my wife and we brought the Switch along and we played Snipper Clips, her and my daughter and myself. And I bought the physical copy of that game to be able to have more stuff. We popped it in and we were going to have to do the tutorial again. And I'm like, I don't remember how long this took. And we wanted to play 3-player immediately. So I ended up just going back to my digital copy so we could do the dojo and the hockey and the basketball. So much fun. So much fun. I did pick up the Resident Evil Revelations and was surprised to learn that the second game is completely digital.
Yeah.
So, and they put awesome. I'm holding it up right now, but they put that ugly white internet download and a micro SD card required at the top of the front of the box. Like, stop ruining the artwork. It's almost like they know why hey, they buy this stuff because they like the artwork. Let's ruin the artwork so they'll just buy digital. Like, come on, guys.
It's ridiculous. I personally hate that as well. The fact that they keep ruining the boxes with more big other boxes on the boxes. When I heard that the second one was a download only, is there a code in it or does it just download from inside the cartridge?
No, there's a code.
Oh,
yeah. And it's just an ugly white. The inside of it's just ugly and there's some legal stuff. That's it. I mean, the cartridge literally just says Resident Evil Revelations. It doesn't even mention 2. It's just weird. It's strange to me, but
wow.
Kirby Geek says it's more than they don't have faith in people, so they have to make it as noticeable as possible. Yeah, exactly. What do you mean I have to have internet and and Revelations 2 is no joke. 26 gigs.
Yeah. It's not a tiny game, which is crazy. Some people bought both of them digital, and I can't imagine that takes up your whole 64 gig SD card, so you have to buy a bigger one just to hold that one game. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts. One of the things we did this weekend, guys, I always mention my uncle. He turned 50. We did a surprise party for him. All of us chipped in, got him a Switch. His son moved out when Skyrim was the hot game on the 360. So he took his 360 with him, and so he never got to play Skyrim. So we got him the Switch and Skyrim, and I got him a 128 gig card, the glass screen protector. Like, just got him set up, and I'm thinking he hasn't like. I haven't heard from him since, which is probably a good sign. Probably means he's, he's just like neck deep in Cheeto dust and
come up for air yet.
Yeah, exactly. So that was super cool. And what was great is because he turned 50 and I wanted to make sure he keeps that heart rate up, I wrapped the entire box in duct tape. And then he had my nephews who are like 5 and 6 just help him go to town. So I'm watching this box tumble, knowing there's a Switch inside, just tumbling with it, but it didn't affect it. It still worked out. And yeah, it was cool. Because it took them so long, I was able to like FaceTime my wife while she was in the hospital so she could kind of be a part of the party and stuff. So it was a good time for sure. So as far as upcoming releases, the big one, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, is that on your list?
It is. It wasn't for the longest time. I was like, I played a Xenoblade before, and I don't know. It's a little too. I love JRPGs. Don't get me wrong, but it was a little bit too grindy for me, where I just don't have that time anymore. So it was like, oh, cool, this is coming out. I don't really want it, and I kind of avoided all the news or whatever. Then I watched the last Direct. And all of a sudden, it found its way into my Amazon wish list, which then became a pre-order, which then didn't become a pre-order, which then became a pre-order again. I don't even know where. I have to check to see if it's still pre-ordered or not. I think I'm going to pick it up. I don't know if it's going to be a day one thing for me. I just got so many games to play right now. Mm-hmm. I got all these Black Friday games that were picked up for next to nothing, which are still en route to me. So I'll probably be playing a lot of those. And maybe I'll wait until the new year to play Xenoblade Chronicles 2. But it looks fantastic. It's definitely a game that I'm going to want to play.
Yeah, I almost got it tonight. I walked into Best Buy and they had it available. Oh, no. And I was like, this will make for some interesting YouTube videos. And so I'm like, hey, can I get the limited edition? And the guys in the back are like, this game is street dated for the first. Like, we can't sell it to you. And I'm like, okay, fine. Can I just buy the one that's sitting out front? And they're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, well, you've got Xenoblade sitting right there. I saw it when I walked in the store. We do? Like, yes, you do. So they immediately grabbed them all off the shelf. and went and put them back. And they're like, our computer won't even sell them because the man formerly known as Destinot says can't or won't. They said the computer won't even do it if it's street dated. So, and had the one checker continued to help me. He's like, hey, it's out. I'm selling it to you no matter what. And then he got moved to somebody else. So I was like, blast. Wow. And then I'm like, well, can I pre-order it? And the guy's like, oh, I've never done that before. I'm like, I'm just gonna do it from my phone. I'll see you later. Like, I can't handle this.
Did a van pull outside and a bunch of guys in black suits and dark sunglasses jump out and like escort that guy away for street or trying to break street date on Nintendo?
They probably would have. I was just thinking like, this can be good for YouTube views, I think.
Definitely. Yeah.
So, well, let's get into our news, man. Animal Crossing Pocket Camp, second most downloaded app at 15 million. Mario Run at 32 million. But this game's way more profitable than Mario Run.
They're gonna make bank on this game. I've spent money on it, which I said I wouldn't do. But they had a whole bunch of like, opening weekend sale, get a bunch of stuff, and I was like, okay, I'll buy that. And then I wanted to make my my camper look less lame than all the other campers that I saw. So I wanted the cool like flame paint job, and I was short like 40 leaf bucks to do that. So I was like, I'll just pay $1 and get all my leaf bucks, and because it's on sale right now. It's amazing. And then after that, I bought it and I'm like, yeah, look at that. And I'm like, I just spent real money to get a paint job for my virtual camper. What am I doing here? But I'm still playing it. I'm loving the hell out of Pocket Camp right now.
I'm enjoying it too. Like I saw some tweets today of people that are like, you guys, if this wasn't Animal Crossing, you realize what it is, right? It's not actually fun. It's like, hey, you know what? It's got the Animal Crossing music. It's got the Animal Crossing charm. Like, yeah, it's basically a game that's just a bunch of tiny fetch quests. But I find myself sitting playing Animal Crossing with one hand while I'm watching something on TV or whatever, like Kirby Geek says, but it has the animals, so who cares, right? And I don't know, a lipstick on a pig. Oh my gosh, this guy, hatred shaped like a man. He's got to live up to his name.
Nice.
And it's a time waster for the real one. That's right.
Totally. It's great. It looks good. It plays good. It sounds good. The animation is there. It's definitely a free to play, like click fast, like you either wait or you spend money. But I've played Simpsons Tapped Out. I've played the Futurama game. I played Farmville way back in the day. Like I played a lot of these games as time wasters. So none of that really bothers me. But there are some people that are really down on it, saying Nintendo's kind of ruining the IP. I don't know. I think the board game, on the Wii U ruined the IP a little bit. So I think this can only bring the IP back in a lot of people's eyes, because it's getting a lot of play. I hear people in public talking about it, which I don't think I heard for Mario Crossing, or Mario Run rather, or the Fire Emblem game. So people are playing it, people are enjoying it, and I think if they can tie this into the future Switch version, whenever that comes out, I think that's going to get a lot of people to maybe buy the Switch version if they're loving this game and they can get a bigger game with less timers and having to spend real money to get your virtual leaf bucks. I think that'll be good for Nintendo.
You're talking 15 million people have downloaded this thing, right?
Yeah.
One of the next news, like one of the things we have, is a rumored direct for the end of this year. We're going to just jump. We're going to combine these two right now. The reason is their website they show a kind of placeholder that is very typical for when they're going to be when they are going to be doing a direct. Right now, I feel like is the time to drop the news that Animal Crossing is coming out on the Switch and make it be early February. And then anybody that misses that direct, oh, hey, there's a notice on my phone for the 15 million people that are playing this game going, this is pretty fun. Oh, look at that. There's a full game coming out on the Switch in a couple months. Oh, I better, and just keep that marketing ball rolling. Like, I mean, look, Animal Crossing it's already a huge, it's a system seller for some people. Some people are like my wife. She's like, oh, I'll buy the Switch when Animal Crossing. I'll buy my own Switch when Animal Crossing comes out. That's what she said all along. So, I think that would be. That's what I'm kind of hoping. If this rumor direct comes out before the end of the year, I really hope we get to see and hear something Animal Crossing while it's fresh on people's minds. Because, I mean, look, a lot of people will play this game for a certain amount of time, but sometimes they have a shelf life that's not very long, right? It's not like a Candy Crush game that's a puzzle game that you continue to try to better your score or something like that. You could try to get more, campers on your site and that kind of thing. But I mean, I can see the appeal not being nearly as much as something that was like a puzzle game. So, I mean, I think they should strike while it's hot.
Yeah, totally. There's rumors, or not even rumors. There's some official art posted on Twitter with some items that aren't in game yet, and that is a whole bunch of Christmas themed items. And I think what they can do is they can keep pumping this game up just by adding new themes into it. I had a really bad Animal Crossing addiction on the GameCube, but like I had to have every single thing in my catalog. So I would play the game crazy amounts of time just to get all the different items, turn it on every day, do your weeding, do all that stuff. There's a little bit of draw in this game as well. Like I want to complete the catalogs and get all the furniture and whatnot. But if they keep adding stuff, I mean, there's going to be people like me and other huge Animal Crossing fans, bigger than myself, that are going to want to get all those items as well. They're going to want to get the Christmas set. They're going to want to get the Valentine's set and the Easter set. And it's a summer barbecue set with a whole bunch of like lawn darts and all this other crazy stuff. And if they can keep coming up with like kind of themed items and events, I could see this game being played by probably not the same 15 million people, but I could see a lot of daily active users across iOS and Android, just people that want to play that and they want to get all the new stuff that is coming out. And then, like you said, if the direct hits near the end of this year and they talk about Animal Crossing, they talk about Smash, they talk about maybe some other games that are coming the first few months of next year, that's going to also push Switch sales, which I don't think Nintendo really needs to do. I think the Switch is doing okay. But if it's going to get some people kind of like frothing at the mouth over the Christmas holidays about all the games that are going to be coming in like February, March, April of next year. And if one of them is Animal Crossing, holy crap, the internet's going to shut down for a little bit when that direct happens.
Yeah. If you had Smash and Animal Crossing in the same direct, dude, like it's game over, baby. Game over, man. Game over. Kirby Geek says, yeah, the board game did way worse for the series than the phone game. Yeah, it's totally true. Like this game is fun. There are fun, like you can kind of just get into that. And like there's sometimes that I would just spend my evening going and catching bugs on the island and then turn that into like 250,000 bells when I was all done, or even make 1,000,000 bells in a night, depending on how things were going with the beetles on New Leaf. Yeah. You can kind of do that in this. It's a little bit easier, but you're playing it with one hand. So, I mean, for what it is as a phone game, I like it. I mean, even Mario Run, like I played through one of the 10 remix stages the other day I just want to check this out again. It's fun. It's a one-handed Mario game. So, oh boy, I hope he comes back. There he is. Okay. Screen went black for a second. Looks like our internet's fading, but are you still with me?
Yeah, I'm still with you. You went a little cyborgy, but I think you're back.
Yeah, you're the same. So cool. Discord, please don't let us down. So, let's talk about Mario cereal with an amiibo connected to the box.
How weird is that?
The supposedly Reddit says no, it's false. I had Matt from Hello Nintendo posting in the Discord saying this is not this. They've already disproved it. But then I went on to BrickSeek. I'm on it right now, and it says that all three of the targets closest to me have it. I'm sorry. I mean, it says they have it in their, it's in their inventory or whatever, but it's just out of stock, and it's $3 a box.
Yep.
That's a $3 amiibo.
Yeah, it's crazy. I saw this story. I saw a tweet. I can't remember who tweeted it, and they just tweeted out the box art because it is a box of cereal. And I was like, oh, that's cool. That's a great Photoshop. And then didn't think anything of it. And then a little bit later, I saw some other people talk about it. It's like, oh my God, the Nintendo cereal system is coming back, and it's going to be amazing. And I'm like, is this real? So I looked at the box art a little bit more, and those like it's a cereal with marshmallows. There's mushrooms and there's question mark boxes, and they don't look like any other marshmallow that I've ever seen. And it doesn't look like something that someone just like quickly doctored up in Photoshop. And I'm like, maybe this thing really exists. And I know, I know Kellogg's sometimes does like these crazy one-off cereals every once in a while. And this looks like maybe that's what this one is. So I started thinking maybe this is real. And then I saw on Reddit people saying, no, it's fake. It's fake. It's fake. It's fake. It's like, oh, okay, I was tricked. All right, that's fine. But then Wario64 posts today that it looks like it's on BrickSeek. It shows in the inventory system for a bunch of Targets and a bunch of other stores. So this might actually be a thing. I don't know. If it is, I will buy a box for sure. I don't like marshmallows in my cereal, but my kids do, so they can eat the cereal. I'll use the amiibo to see what crazy costume it's going to unlock in Super Mario Odyssey. But like everything to do with the Switch has brought me back to my feelings as when I was a kid. How Nintendo was magical. All their games were awesome. The Nintendo seal of quality meant something. Nintendo cereal was terrible, but I wanted it and I bought it. I had Nintendo
two bags in one box. Who does that?
Exactly, right? Like, then I was like, oh, all they need to do is announce a cartoon, and it's like, well, they partner with DreamWorks to do an animated video, and it's just like, oh my gosh, this is I'm having a second childhood here. This is amazing. So yeah, I really hope that the serial is real, just to relive a little chunk of my of myself being a little kid.
I love it, man. I love it. Kirby Geek says it better be a costume of him just wearing the box of cereal. Just wearing the cereal box.
With a milk mustache. His mustache turns into a milk mustache.
So who knows? Of course, I would. Kirby Geek asked in our Discord, how many are you going to buy if this is real? And I said all of them. So you got to have all the amiibo. So if there's amiibo involved, I got to have them all. Is there going to be more than one box? Is it going to be like, is there going to be multiple boxes? Is there going to be a Luigi box? Ooh.
I don't know. I hope so. I hope they keep coming out. Like these amiibo. I thought I had my cards by me. I don't. The amiibo cards. The fact that they're $1 and it's an amiibo. I'm surprised that Nintendo hasn't done more stuff with that type of form factor. Why they haven't released a master set of like Smash Brother amiibo, which is all just like a deck of cards or whatever that has all the Smash Brother ones. But if they start putting it into other things, like you buy plush, I don't know, Yoshi or something, and it's scannable, not like the other Yoshi amiibos, which were really expensive, but just like a normal $20 Nintendo plush that will then scan as a Yoshi. It's super cheap for them to do that with the NFC technology. And if they start putting that in everything, this could mean some really interesting things in the future where there's going to be like one-off plushes. There's going to be different, like, I don't know, t-shirts or something weird that is all going to be an amiibo that's going to do something in like Animal Crossing or the next Mario game. It's I don't know. It kind of excites me a little bit. Yeah,
dude. And here, okay. And this is a good point. And when you and I talked about this off air, formerly known as Destinot, said, look at Post, like I'm on postconsumerbrands.com, right? You scroll down, it's got all kinds of Mario stuff, like like a recipe, super stash.
It's not Mario cereal. It's cereal that has Mario Odyssey on it. And I'm like, well, Nintendo's done that before where they work with different companies that are kind of in the same industry. So it's not super unbelievable, but it is kind of odd if Post is running this huge Switch prize pack contest, and then their competitor is getting the whole Mario cereal. You think they would be not too happy about that?
And this box looks not janky enough for the old. I mean, the old Nintendo cereal was like this is like the off-brand of off-brands. The way the old Nintendo cereal looked, like, this can't be good for me, Mom, but I don't care. I have to have it. I have to have it. So I don't know, crazy. Ukulele coming out on the 14th. Did hell freeze over? That is the true question. Is this a pickup for you?
I don't know, man. I was super excited about this game when it was first announced. I didn't back the Kickstarter because I had recently been burnt by a couple other Kickstarters, and I was like, you know what? I'm not backing any more Kickstarters.
Mighty Number 9.
No, thankfully I dodged that bullet, but there's been a couple Kickstarters that just haven't shipped. So I backed this thing called the 90s Arcade Racer, which was supposed to be like Daytona kind of styled racing games, and it was supposed to come to the Wii U. I even backed it at a level where I was going to get a VG podcast billboard in the game, and I saw like the mocked up screenshots, and it was like, this is going to be awesome. My site is going to be in the game. This is amazing. And then it's never shipped, and now the Wii U isn't a thing. The game doesn't look like it's coming at all. So I spent a bunch of money that is never going to come back. But anyway, all that stuff was kind of happening around the time. And I was like, nah, Ukulele, no, I'll pick it up when it comes out. Then it got kind of mediocre reviews, and I ended up not picking it up on any of the other consoles. Now it's on the Switch, and it's like, well, it would feel right at home on the Switch. Like, this kind of game belongs on a Nintendo platform. But it's been out for so long. I don't know if I can do it. I don't know. How about you?
I got to see more about this game. Is it a physical? I don't even know. If it's just digital, there's a good chance I'm going to skip it because I wasn't a huge Banjo Kazooie fan. Like, it was fine. It just wasn't for me. Kirby Geeks is not yet. So there you go. If it gets a physical, I'll definitely pick it up just to keep that collection going. But otherwise, it's a hard pass, hard no for me. So
I mean, it looks good enough, and I know it's a game that I'm going to have fun with. But I mean, there's just so many titles. Like it seems like every day an independent developer comes out and says, this version on the Switch sold 10 times more than all the other versions combined. And it's going to be this indie darling it's going to be like the new Vita for independent games. And there's just so many amazing games that are coming out each and every week, where, not to say Yooka-Laylee isn't a good game, but I mean, I don't know. I think there's going to be other things for me to play in the near future.
There definitely is. There's so much to play. Overcooked is getting a digital or a physical release.
Yeah.
As well as we talked about, I think maybe last episode was the Wonder Boy. I believe that's what it's called. That's getting a physical as well. So, so I have a question here from Hatred Shaped Like a Man. If a Barbie Switch game comes out physical, will you buy it? Tell the truth. Yes, I will. Mm-hmm. I will. I eventually have Farm Simulator, so, and Monster Truck Monster Jam or whatever. That's got like everywhere I look has 1 star. Like literally it might be as bad as the Troll and I think if I may have to set some like some kind of goal that if this happens, I will play all the way through the Troll and I or complete Monster Jam.
Have you cracked Troll and I yet? Have you popped it into your
Negative,
Switch?
Ghost Rider.
It's good.
I don't want to. I don't want to. So, you have no shame. You are correct. You are correct. Kirby Geek says I'll buy 2 so I can keep 1 sealed. No. We kind of just quickly, because of Animal Crossing, talked about this rumored Direct coming out. But I mean, and we mentioned Smash and stuff. But like, honestly, what do you really think? You were talking about being in this for so long, being able to predict some things and whatnot. Like, I kind of want to hear your predictions on what you think this might actually be.
Sure. It's one of those things where the old Nintendo, I'd say there'd be no big announcement and it's going to be sadness, and they're not going to tell us about any good games. But then the Switch happened and Nintendo had these huge hits coming out basically once every month. There's going to be a big game, whether it's a Nintendo published game or from one of their big AAA third-party developers. I don't really know what a Direct at the end of the year could possibly be. Like, the only game that we know for sure is coming is Metroid. We don't know when. We also know that there's a Kirby and a Yoshi. So maybe we could get dates. Maybe one of them is going to be coming out in February. But I think if they're going to do something near the end, I don't know if a Direct is going to come. I kind of think they're probably going to wait until next year. But it's really hard to predict Nintendo sometimes when it comes to things like that. But I think they really have to start kind of outlaying kind of the release plans for February to like E3. So we're going to have to find out maybe one more game, one more big game. Animal Crossing, Smash would be kind of a no-brainer. It would be kind of easy for them to just port that over, add a whole pile of new characters, and come out with a new set of amiibo.
Don't do that to me.
Player 2 for every Smash amiibo.
Oh, my wife would leave me. I mean, if we talk about the games that we know are coming out, right?
Yep.
Kirby, Yoshi, Metroid, Pokemon,
yeah.
Right?
Yep.
But we don't really have like pretty much all those games just kind of got like placeholders, right? Just kind of a single, like, here's this game's coming out. I would say, and I could be wrong, and I want you guys and gals in chat to correct me if you disagree. But all of those titles that we know of, other than Pokemon's huge. So I'm going to but we don't even know when that is we don't know when any of those 4 games, those big hitters, are coming out. Fire Emblem, is there another Fire Emblem coming out that I remember hearing something about it. So, but even that's kind of niche, right? I mean, even it has half the downloads on the iOS versus Animal Crossing even. So,
sure.
So a game like Animal Crossing, I would say, is like a heavy hitter, right? Kirby, not necessarily a heavy hitter. No offense, Kirby Geek. Yoshi, not necessarily a heavy hitter. Metroid Prime, not necessarily a heavy hitter. Like it has a fan base, but it's not those like hype games that like are gonna probably sell systems.
Yeah, but these are all going to sell 1 million copies. This isn't going to be like the 50% of Switch owners own these titles kind of games. It's not a Mario. It's not a Mario 64. It's not a Smash. Either of them. Like for all those games, we don't really even know what they are. They're just called Kirby and Yoshi. We don't really know what the title of them is. There was some stuff during E3. Treehouse was playing the Yoshi game, and there was kind of a title that was bandied about. I can't remember what it was, but that looked like a fully playable game. So maybe that's been done for a while, like Nintendo likes to do. They like to finish games and put them on the shelf to age a little bit and then release them. I still think one of those is going to be a surprise release come February or something, where all the new Switch owners are going to play their Mario Odysseys and their Breaths of the Wild, Splatoon and all that stuff. And then there's going to be a game that's going to be early new year. And it's going to be one of those, either Yoshi or Kirby, just to give some, I don't know, a jolt of blood back into the system a little bit. And then we'll find out that Animal Crossing is coming in May, and then Smash is coming in June, and we'll get those numbers, but those dates rather, but those probably will not come until next year, I don't think.
Yeah, basically the point I'm trying to make is I think if we get a direct, we're going to get at least one heavy hitter from Nintendo. And I don't think that I'm sorry, I was reading chat, but I do think we might even see some of these new IPs that Nintendo has been talking about, that they're going to continue forward with new IPs, and I mean, and there's a handful of niche games, and I'm kind of throwing that term around loosely, but I mean, games like get a third Luigi's Mansion going,
sure,
get a fourth, depending on what you count the DS game, a fourth Pikmin game, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
They still have a vast library. I mean, look, Kid Icarus could use a reboot, another Donkey Kong game. And, and I don't know how well Donkey Kong games do. I'd have to look it up, but I mean, Retro knocked it out of the park with Tropical Freeze. Sure. But the complaint was that the game was too tough, so
yeah. It's a really tough game. Like thinking more about what could happen in a December Direct. I think if one does happen, the only thing we're going to talk about is DLC for Super Mario Odyssey. We're going to get like new Super Mario U. There was new Super Luigi U, which was kind of like you could play through the whole game as other characters. That's pretty simple for Nintendo to do. But maybe DLC comes out, first one hits on, I don't know, Christmas Eve or something, and it gives you 2 new worlds to check out. And then there's going to be a DLC season pass that's going to give another a half dozen worlds over the next year or something. They could come out in December, announce that, because there's going to be a lot of Super Mario Odyssey under the tree, do stuff like that. I think that would totally make sense.
What's great too, the way they kind of left, well, I don't know, it's kind of a spoiler, I guess. I'm glad I caught myself, but they left themselves open after you complete the game that you could totally play through as other characters, like you were saying, like you from the you know, almost like a Mario 2 thing where you play as Toad or Peach or Luigi. I mean, Luigi's been AFK from this entire thing. Like, where am I from this whole thing? Like, where is he? You know, so
how sweet would that be if they came out with a Mario 2 DLC pack, which would allow you to play as those 4 characters that were in the Super Mario Brothers 2? That would be amazing, and that would be enough for people, and there'd be nothing. No one would have anything bad to say about Nintendo. Everybody would be like singing their praises, with Toad and Peach with her float jump and Luigi being back in and all that stuff. That would just be fantastic. And the game's already set up for allowing people to do creative ways to get to tops of obstacles. So yeah, add some new characters in and basically you could play through the whole game that way and then add a whole bunch of stuff after. I would even be stoked for an entire 2D Mario game that was just done in the 2D version that was in Super Mario Odyssey. If we get to play a whole new 2D Mario game that is just done that way with like all crazy things running around in circles and all that other stuff that happened in the game, I'd be all over that. If it's a $60 title, I'd buy that in an instant as well. So yeah. I think the options are unlimited for Nintendo. I've issues predicting like these crazy huge megaton announcements that never happen. So I need to ratchet back my excitement just a little bit.
Yeah, when I think Kirby in chat kind of hit the nail on the head too. Like, we need our Zelda DLC. So maybe the direct's for that. Maybe that's the direct. Like, hey, here's what the Zelda DLC is. Oh yeah, I guess we kind of need that.
Remember those amiibo that you've had on your shelf for a month already? Yeah, you game. Here you go. Yeah. Gotten the thing. We're gonna do some stuff. That'd be fun to see as well.
She also said replace Toad with Pauline. So I'd be down. Be okay. Well, this has been rad, dude. We're over an hour, so we should probably wrap this thing up. But I do have instead of a retro question for tonight, I'm going to bring a little bit of history, because I love this stuff. So we talked about Transformers. We're going to play a little game. I'm going to give you a little quiz. It's going to be pretty easy though.
Okay.
And I may have to fact check myself on this, but I'm pretty sure I am correct. And if you read the book that I got this information from, you're going to know. But do you know who the first person was to voice Mario? Not in a game.
Oh, who was that? I remember that trivia, but I don't remember the answer of that trivia.
I'll give you a hint. It has to do with what I spotted behind your shelf, or behind you on your shelf.
I can't think of the name right now. You've stumped me.
So, do you know? Let's see. Well, Kirby, let's hear. I want to hear your answer before I say it, because I'm curious if you get it right. Do 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 do. Let's see. Here it comes. Is
it the voice actor that did Optimus Prime? I'm blanking on his name right now.
Peter Cullen.
There you go.
Yeah, you got it, dude. You got it. It was Peter Cullen from it was a Donkey Kong cartoon. So, and again, I may not be absolutely correct that it was the first one, but it's one of the most it's definitely one of them. I was very surprised. I'm like, oh my gosh, probably my favorite voice actor of all time. Hatred shaped like a man. It's me, a Mario, in prime voice. Roll out, you know. Oh man, that's good stuff. So there you go. There's your history, your little history fact for the day. So Lloyd, tell us all the places people can find you.
Awesome. Yeah. You can check out all the stuff we do over at Res TV. That's our podcast network. Lots of great shows there. It's we're also on Twitch and on YouTube. But if you want to get in touch with just me, I'm Dasme on Twitter, DASME on Twitter. I'm pretty much Dasme everywhere on social medias. So hit me up and let's chat. I'd love to chat Nintendo with all you fine folks.
Awesome. Yeah. Make sure to go check out Nintendo Pulse. It's good stuff. So let me see if I remember correctly. I found you from, I believe from RJS, I think, or else.
I found out about your show and RJS from Captain Logan, who found our show because of your show, I think. He got into Nintendo stuff, listening to your show, and then looked for other Nintendo stuff. He started hanging out on our Twitch and in our Discord. And was like, "Hey, have you heard of N64 Josh?" I'm like, "No, I haven't heard that." It's like, "It does Nintendo Powercast." I'm like, "I love the name. Let's go check it out." Started listening to the show, and it was the same with Run Jump Stomp for Switchcraft. It was just like people chatted about it on our Discord. And it's so weird. Like, I used to seek out new Nintendo podcasts all the time to listen to other shows out there. I don't ever believe that any other podcaster is a competitor.
Sure.
The more people that listen to Nintendo podcasts, the better. The only competitors I would think are maybe like the IGNs of the world, because they don't ever talk about other shows. They just talk about their own stuff. So for the longest time, I'd go out and find new Nintendo shows, and I didn't do it for a long period of time, not because I didn't want to listen to them, but just because I thought I'd heard them all. And then it's just so amazing to find all these new Nintendo shows and to meet a bunch of awesome listeners and podcasters as well.
Yeah, it's so awesome. I love it. Well, thank you, man, for taking the time. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on, man. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, dude, it's been a blast. Guys, you're going to find me on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat. Did I miss any? I don't know. There's so many now. We just need an all-in-one, like on The Office. I think it was called Woof or whatever. Like, we need the all-in-one. But yeah, it's N64 Josh everywhere. audibletrial.com/NPC. Get yourself a free audiobook. Help support this show. opseat.com. Use coupon code N64Josh to get yourself a very affordable, very comfortable gaming chair. Sorry about Nightbot destroying your link. You can post it in chat. I can repost it for you. If you guys have a second, if you're enjoying the shows, hit us with a review. I'd really, really appreciate it. I'm so thankful for just all you guys that do listen and watch and everything. Like, thank you so much. It means a lot. So I do want to give you guys a little I don't know. It's not really a search out Josh on farmersonly.com. No, don't do it. I believe you're going to be joining me and RJS, correct? Yeah, we're all going to be doing another Voltron episode hosted on RJS's channel. So that's the Switchcraft, Nintendo Switchcraft. Yep. And that's getting recorded the 9th of December. And I think it's going out Christmas week, but it's gonna be a good time. So make sure you're subscribed to that channel. Make sure you're subscribed to Nintendo Pulse. And with that, my friend, thank you guys for being here live. And we'll see you all next week. Later.